For many Americans, the name Sears was once synonymous with home. It was not merely a store where you bought things, it was an integral part of the fabric of daily life, a steadfast presence in towns, large and small. It was the place where a father bought his first set of craftsman tools, the tools he would later use to teach his child how to build a birdhouse. It was where a young couple picked out their first Kenmore washing machine, a humming, reliable appliance that would see their family through years of growth. If you enjoy deep dive stories about iconic brands and how they rise and fall, consider subscribing for more documentaries like this. The story of Sears begins not with a grand storefront, but with a simple, practical idea that capitalized on a specific need. In the late 1880s, Richard Sears, a railroad station agent in Minnesota, started a side business selling watches. He discovered he could buy them in bulk, sell them to other agents, and sell to rural customers who lacked access to jewelers. He soon partnered with watchmaker Alva C. Roebuck, and in 1893 they incorporated Sears, Roebuck, and Co. Their vision, the mail-order model, selling a wide variety of goods directly to consumers bypassing local merchants. This was revolutionary at the time. Most Americans, especially in rural areas, relied on small local general stores with limited selection and high prices. The Sears catalog changed everything. It was a thick volume filled with detailed drawings, straightforward descriptions, and transparent pricing. It offered clothing, farm equipment, musical instruments, and firearms. A farmer in a remote corner could access the same goods as a city resident, often for less. Success was built on trust. Sears offered satisfaction guaranteed and a money-back policy. As the 20th century unfolded, the American landscape began to change dramatically. The nation was on the move, and the very fabric of daily life was being rewoven. The rise of the automobile put millions of Americans behind the wheel. The explosive growth of cities reshaped the population map, and the birth of the suburbs created entirely new communities and opportunities for retail. Sears' leadership, keenly aware of these seismic shifts, recognized that the company's future could not depend solely on its legendary mail-order sales. A new strategy was needed. In 1925, under the visionary leadership of General Robert E. Wood, Sears made a pivotal decision that would define its next half-century. It opened its first physical retail store. It was an immediate, resounding success, proving that loyal catalog customers would eagerly flock to a physical location. This single store marked the beginning of a massive nationwide expansion. Sears began opening large standalone department stores, strategically placed on the outskirts of cities where land was cheaper and easily accessible by car. The timing was perfect, perfectly matching the nation's burgeoning car culture and suburban sprawl. They were true one-stop shops, offering a vast array of goods under one roof. In a single trip, a family could buy a dress, a new set of tires for the car, paint for the living room, and a brand new refrigerator. The stores solidified Sears's powerful house brands like Kenmore and Craftsman, and crucially, Sears backed those products with robust service and repair networks. This built a powerful ecosystem of trust that competitors couldn't easily replicate. By the end of World War II, Sears was more than a retailer. It was an American institution. It had masterfully evolved from a mail-order giant into the dominant department store chain in the nation. The period from the 1950s through the early 1970s represented the absolute zenith of Sears's power and influence. During these golden years, the company was, without question, the largest retailer in the world. Its revenues were so vast that they accounted for approximately 1% of the entire United States gross national product. Its financial services were just as dominant. 1 out of every 3 American families had a Sears credit card in their wallet. The company's headquarters, the towering Sears Tower in Chicago, was completed in 1973. A monument of steel and glass, it stood as the tallest building in the world. For employees, working at Sears was a source of immense pride and a path to a stable, middle-class life. For customers, it was simply the most trusted name in retail. At its absolute peak, Sears was more than just a successful company. It was a symbol of American economic might, post-war prosperity, and the aspirations of the middle class itself. It seemed untouchable. While Sears stood at the pinnacle of the retail world, the ground beneath it was shifting. The company had become a victim of its own success, a giant too large to feel the tremors of change. By the late 70s and into the 80s, new competitors were emerging, each chipping away at the Sears empire. On one front, discount chains like Walmart and Kmart offered rock-bottom prices, powered by relentless operational efficiency that Sears, with its older systems, couldn't replicate. At the same time, category-killer specialty stores like Toys R Us and Home Depot appeared. They offered deeper assortments and more specialized knowledge. Suddenly, Sears wasn't the best at anything. Sears's response was slow and uncertain. Instead of innovating, it stagnated. Stores began to look tired and dated. The merchandise mix felt cluttered and unfocused, trying to be everything to everyone and satisfying no one. To make matters worse, corporate leadership got distracted. Diversification into insurance and real estate drew precious capital away from the core retail business just when it needed investment the most. As the 90s dawned, the warning signs grew more insistent. Walmart's sophisticated supply chain and everyday low prices strategy set a new bar for retail. While Walmart built a lean, technology-driven machine, Sears was still running on the fumes of its 20th century glory. Perhaps the most significant missed opportunity was the colossal failure to embrace the internet. Despite a century of direct-to-consumer expertise through its legendary catalog, Sears made only tentative, half-hearted steps online. This hesitation created a vacuum, and digitally native competitors like Amazon eagerly seized the territory that should have been Sears's natural inheritance. A culture of complacency and arrogance had taken hold, insulating executives from the changing realities on the ground. Decisions were centralized and slow. Once mighty house brands like Craftsman and Kenmore suffered from a lack of innovation. In a move that baffled many, the company shuttered its iconic catalog in 1993, a symbolic retreat from its own greatest strengths. But a series of critical leadership and financial mistakes would accelerate its decline and seal its doom. In 2005, hedge fund manager Eddie Lampert engineered the merger of Kmart with Sears, promising to create a retail powerhouse. In reality, it was a disastrous move. It fused two weakened companies, creating a bigger, weaker entity. Lampert, a financier with little retail experience, starved the stores of investment, focusing on financial engineering and stock buybacks that bled the company dry. This is the moment many point to as the final, irreversible turning point. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Sears could have survived, or was the collapse inevitable? Instead of revitalizing its aging stores and operations, the company poured billions into stock buybacks. This financial maneuver was designed to artificially inflate earnings per share and prop up the stock price, rewarding shareholders in the short term. It created the illusion of health and financial wizardry, while the underlying business, the actual retail experience, was allowed to deteriorate. Lampert, a hedge fund manager, not a retailer, managed from afar. He famously pitted divisions against each other in a brutal internal competition, which stifled collaboration and prevented any cohesive, company-wide vision from taking hold. The core strategy shifted from retail innovation to monetizing property. Stores were closed not because they were unprofitable, but because the land they sat on was worth more than the business itself. To generate quick cash, key brands like Craftsman, once a symbol of American quality and exclusive to Sears, were sold off. It was short-term relief that inflicted deep, long-term damage to the company's identity. It was like selling the engine of a car to pay for gasoline, a fundamentally unsustainable strategy. For customers, the shopping experience turned visibly grim: peeling paint, flickering lights, sparse shelves, and a noticeable lack of staff. The stores felt neglected because they were. Eventually, these financial maneuvers hit their limits. Debt mounted to unsustainable levels, much of it ironically owed to entities controlled by Lampert himself. The public narrative turned from struggling to dying, becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy that scared away both customers and partners. Suppliers, fearing they wouldn't be paid, hesitated to ship goods. The most talented employees left for more stable opportunities. Trust, the invisible currency of business, had completely evaporated. Any meaningful turnaround would have required massive capital investment and a total strategic overhaul, neither of which ever came. The point of no return had been crossed long before the final announcement. The inevitable finally happened. The company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in October 2018. This triggered another massive wave of store closures, accelerating the physical disappearance of a brand that had once been a fixture in nearly every American town. The human cost was immense. Tens of thousands of employees lost stable, middle-class jobs, pensions, and a core part of their professional identity. For loyal customers, seeing Craftsman tools sold by competitors was the ultimate symbol of how far the once mighty company had fallen. The story of Sears is more than a tale of corporate failure. It is a powerful cautionary lesson for the modern business world. No company is immune to disruption. Past success is not a guarantee of future survival. A brand built on a century of trust can be dismantled in a decade if it fails to adapt. Invest in the core: clean stores, helpful staff, modern technology, relevant products. Ignoring technological shifts was a critical blunder. Every business today must be a technology business. Ultimately, the fall of Sears teaches the difference between honoring the past and being trapped by it. Nostalgia is not a business strategy. Sears didn't fail because people stopped caring. It failed because it stopped evolving. The future belongs to those relentlessly focused on building what comes next. If you want more stories like this, subscribe. There are many more coming.